Bam, we're live. How's it going, Eran?
Fantastic. How you doing?
Good. It's good. It's great. It's a beautiful day in New York. I'm very happy about that. It seems like it's about every other day is nice and every other day is kind of gloomy and rainy. So
Is it
where are
okay?
you calling from again?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, very nice. Where it's always sunny.
Always sunny, dude. Always hot. Never rains. It's crazy.
Does it really never rain?
Well, actually, funny enough, this year it actually did rain quite a lot. It rained for like 2 weeks, and that's like the most that it's rained in the past maybe 12 or 15 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Other than that, other than this year, it never fucking rains. Can I cuss on here, by the way? Is that
Yeah, for sure, for
all
sure.
right? Sweet.
Um, Man, how could it like how do you guys sustain everything if it's not raining? Like
Dude, I don't think that people are supposed to live here.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know, because I'm from Wisconsin originally, right, where we have all of the weather all the time, right? Man, I keep getting these text messages. But I can't imagine it not raining all the time. Jeez. Um,
Yeah.
and it's not even
Fortunately, we have running
Arizona.
water.
Very cool, very cool. So I guess I just like to obviously introduce yourself a little bit. I'm super laid back. Kind of my goal behind doing the podcast this way is is to have people who like myself who wanted to do a podcast, but we're always afraid to do it because like it always seems so great. Like to just realize that people can literally just have a conversation and record it, and it's a podcast, right? So just introduce yourself a little bit because obviously I'm getting to know you for the first time as well.
Sure. I'm Eran Boodnero. I was born and raised in the States here in Los Angeles. When I was 19, I went to join the Israeli military. Did that for 3 years. Did like special forces, really cool stuff. But then I got injured, and I did topographic navigation. And then after that, I did a whole bunch of odd jobs. Started like a math tutoring business. I had a garage repair business. I was an administrator for a retirement facility for the elderly, and now I'm in Praxis, unemployed because COVID-19, baby.
I'm not in that same boat. I'm pretty lucky, but that's quite a background, man.
Yeah,
Um, I
all over
feel
the
like
place.
it's not unusual for a Praxian to have an odd background, but I feel like yours is in particular. It's kind of special.
Yeah,
Um,
I've also
what
been
kind of
alive for longer than other Praxians. So.
this is true, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I was in my class. I was one of the older ones. I wasn't the oldest, but I think I was this like I was close to the top of my class as far as work experience was concerned. Um, but yeah, so I mean, like, how did you end up finding about Praxis and everything?
My friend actually recommended it. We went to the Objective Standard Convention. It's like a convention for objectivist philosophy that
Okay,
Craig Biddle started, and Isaac Morehouse was there. Gave a little
I,
talk.
I believe it. He's
Yeah,
everywhere, man. He's all over that stuff.
yeah. He's a good
It seems
salesman.
it seems like all of those type of like I don't know. I wouldn't. Is that would you consider that a political kind of convention or of some sort?
No,
Like, is it a political mindset or what is it?
I mean, politics is a subcategory of philosophy. So there was some politics, but philosophy is a lot broader of a topic, so
Yeah.
talking about things of just like how to be, how to live, different things like, aesthetics, metaphysics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess I never had gone to it, but I also, just this morning I had another podcast with Theo,
All right.
Luciano, and he was saying that his sister found out about Praxis through the Fee conference. So
Oh,
like obviously there's like they must really get a lot of the membership
for sure.
um, through those conferences. So that's cool. But um, so what I mean, what ended up leading you to even apply?
Well, I wanted to be, because like I didn't really have like a conventional background. Uh, the value that I saw in Praxis was that it makes you more professionally palatable. And like, I had never like bothered fucking doing a resume or any of that stuff. Um, I didn't really have like, if I had joined the American military, then I would have, a solid launching pad to go off of. Moral of the story: if you're going to join a military, join it in the country that you were born and raised in. As a rule of thumb. But as it stands, like I didn't have anything to show for myself having done the Israeli military other than like cool stories. So I thought Praxis would be like the thing to sort of, bridge the gap.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I mean, obviously, it's just Praxis is just a crazy, like, I love Praxis because of the fact that it's like it's nothing actually that, like, they don't really give you much besides the network. They just say, by the way, you got all the skills that you're not using. Why don't
Yeah,
you use them?
exactly. Exactly right. Yeah.
Um,
Sharpen them.
so I guess what is your stage in the Praxis program right now? Like, where are you in it?
Right now, I'm in the third month, so it's like the project month where we work on a project for our portfolio to demonstrate that we can provide value.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it changed a lot since I started because I actually started it in August of 2019. So
Mm,
just finished a little while ago. Actually, my Praxis journey was like way shorter than most. It's a long story. Um, but they've changed so much already since then. Like I think they've changed the curriculum at least twice since then,
yeah, I think they
right?
used to do like that 30-day blog challenge or whatever, right?
They
I'm
don't
so
have
glad
that
they do
anymore?
that. No.
No way. That was Isaac's favorite. I can't believe they got rid of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I did it beyond that because I was like, oh, I'm gonna write every day for the rest of my life. Like that was my mindset when I set out.
Well,
And because I didn't think it would be that hard, like I was doing it and I did it for 42 days. But ultimately I got to day 42 and I had this event that kind of happened with my brother and his one of my brothers and his birthday. And I had told him like, yeah, I'll hang out with him, blah blah blah, when they came to town. And I had totally forgot I said that. And I was just like, I was doing so many things at that time in my life, and I was like, I was doing a daily podcast, like a short podcast every day, blogging every day, and then working a full time job as well as running my tea business. And I just realized like I haven't been making time for my family, so I was like I can't keep doing this. So I wrote a blog post saying I'm going to shut this down for a while. And I just did weekly recaps from that point on, but it was definitely an experience for sure. Um, what are you doing for your project?
sorry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm planning on writing a Python script to do like an email scraping script that you can like enter a bunch of URLs and it'll go website by website and parse all of the text to extract emails. And then I'll build like a list of leads and then I'll write a cold email sequence and um, and then test out my email sequence.
Geez, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I could never do that. I don't know how to code a lick at all.
Yeah.
What is your focus through Praxis? Are you trying to go? Which kind of route are you trying to go?
Um, for the moment, sales. One
Sales.
second.
Don't worry about it. By the way, um, I'm the
I'll just
oldest of
go to the camera.
I'm the oldest of 8 kids, so family is important, man.
Yeah.
um, so sales, yeah, sales is awesome, man. You're never gonna regret it. You've done sales then in your past already?
Nope. I mean, kinda. I mean, you're always like in the process of like selling yourself and like your services and stuff. So a little bit, yeah. I do have a little bit of experience, I guess.
Yeah, I
It's not
think
like
for
formal.
me, no formal experience, like no sales. Okay, I a little bit. I had started. So I never saw myself as a salesperson. Not at all. Like my dad's a cabinet maker, and I grew up helping him in his shop. And then like one day after I think I was like the summer after I turned 18, it was the fall or something like that. My godfather said, "Hey, do you want to be an insurance salesman?" And he convinced me to do it, but I never saw myself doing it. But it was literally the greatest thing. I learned so much from it. So that's
Awesome.
awesome,
Mm.
man.
That's like the reason why I want to do it. I don't. I'm not like. I don't really feel like my personality type like lends itself to sales as much. I'm more like kind of like a tinker programmer and stuff. But everybody that talks about sales talks about how they become like a better person from it and they learn so much and they come out with all these skills that are transferable. So that's really why I want to do it.
For sure. Yeah. Do you need to take a break for anything? Did you need something there? You driving?
uh yeah, just 1 second. One
Yeah,
second.
take time.
All right,
You
so
just pause
where
pause
were
for a second.
we?
Oh, we were just talking about sales and like how it like changes you, and it's so true. It does. Like, I think that one thing that I mean, you'll probably I mean, you obviously have more experience than I do, but like for me going into sales, like part of the draw there was, oh, you're gonna make tons of money, and I was like, oh, that's great. Like, who doesn't want to make money, right? But an 18-year-old version of yourself is like, I grew up really poor, so I'm like, money sounds great. And I was also part of the other reason I went was because I was told you're selling life insurance, so you're going to mature because you're dealing with death and all this stuff, and like you're going to learn a lot. um, which was all good. I'm glad I ended up going in because like I realized after about a year, the money thing wasn't motivating to me. Like I'm not motivated by money. Sometimes it's hard to remember that, especially when the bills are due. But I'm not motivated by money. So, but anyways,
There's nothing wrong with being motivated by money, though.
I mean, I guess it depends on the person, right? Like the thing was for me, I couldn't maintain a successful lifestyle if I was motivated by the dollar amount I was bringing in,
Yeah.
because I got to a point where I was doing really well in that gig, but I was like doing very well in that gig, but I wasn't happy, and I was like, this is like, there's no reason for me to keep going. It's like, I think
You weren't
that,
thriving. You weren't like happy. You weren't fulfilled.
yeah, it was like, my old boss, he gave me the example. It's like, he was trying to convince me why to work hard for money, but I'll just use it as kind of the other way. It was like the people playing the World Cup, right? The
Mhm.
goal is to score a goal. Okay. That's what you do. And the trophy is proof that you won. Like the trophy is proof that you scored more goals than everybody else. And like, so I think I was after the trophy and not after actually the game.
We're in the goal. Yeah. That's a good
So
analogy. I like it.
I love it. It was a good one. That was a good one. He's from Germany, so he likes football, obviously, and I
I'll
like
do it.
football too. But
Easy for
yeah,
him to say after that World Cup.
that was a terrible year last cup. Oh man, the Germany just got knocked out so fast. It's terrible. Um, with Praxis, like what is one thing that you've noticed or that you had a mindset going into, like I think it'll be this way, and then it changed after this first couple months?
Dude, to be honest, I had no fucking idea what it was gonna be. I was just like, all right, let's just fucking do this, see what happens. I'm gonna write some fucking blog posts. I'll write some blog posts.
Yeah,
uh, um, but it really kind of like sharpens, like it makes you like zero in on the things that are really important, and then like you identify what are the important things, and then you sort of like amplify them. You know what I mean? You slide that slider up, turn up the volume on those things, and maybe you also like acquire some new skills, like working out loud. That was not a thing that I did. I always like being kind of like a dark horse doing shit like on the
yeah,
side. If I get compliments, it's from other people. And the whole, I never fucking tweeted or Instagram, none of that.
yeah.
But now I do.
And what do you like about it? Do you like it? Do you like this new style? And if so, what do you like about it?
Yeah, tweeting's kind of cool. It's like, if not in reality, at least in my head, it's like me letting the world know, hey, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I actually wrote a blog post. One of my posts was about why Twitter is like. I think the title of it was why Twitter is beneficial to society. But it's basically like Twitter is therapy, right? Like we get to just tell our problems to the world. Most of the time, nobody listens, but it
Yeah.
still feels good.
That's right.
Um, and I think that was inspired actually by somebody else who had tweeted, and I read this post that was talking about that. So yeah. I mean, it's a fun thing. Like I think it's interesting to be very transparent with your work, right? What
Yeah.
I really like is TK Coleman's. He's always got the best takes, doesn't he? Don't you love TK?
Dude, like it just rolls off the tongue for him.
It's like it sounds like like he's like Morgan Freeman confidence level with actual wisdom.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how like for some people it just comes so easy? It's like that guy's like a machine. What is up with that?
It's like
He's
people should put all of his writings into a summary. By the way, TK, I hope you hear this someday because we should make a TK Bible of like like the Proverbs of TK or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just take all of his tweets and summarize them. But no,
That'd be a cool
um, I like his take on the um the idea of always developing something, but still being, like you said, working out loud. So like you're obviously you're open about like, hey, I'm working on this, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But yet like he's constantly building something else on the side, or
Yeah.
at least feeding himself more information. And it's just like he's a machine, you know?
Yeah, it's like the working out loud part. It's not so much about like, sharing like the actual things that you've accomplished, like the finished product. It's like sharing like the whole journey of like learning stuff. Every time you learn something new, it's like a little, little piece of the puzzle. And then like, if people follow that, then they can see like the structure being built. You know what I mean? And then you get like that final structure.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think it is something like that. I experienced it with I think it had to do with one of the projects we did where we get feedback from everybody in the cohort,
Mhm.
where it's like you basically, or maybe it had to do with Tiago Forte's building a second brain. Did you guys do that?
Yeah, I'm in the process of building one too,
Yeah.
constantly, forever.
Yeah. So I think it was in that I realized the importance of it. It's like because he explained, it's the on the I love his verbiage here. On the brink of chaos, you're like your note system. So it's like it's organized, but it's not really organized, right? It's like it allows your brain to connect the dots instead of logically going through them.
Yep.
And it's just having all of that information. And that's similar to like Twitter. It's like you keep tweeting these ideas, and then eventually your brain is putting together the things you thought about like a year ago. It's like, oh, by the way, remember that thought you had? Like, let's put it here.
Yeah.
I just think it's just incredible, the
That's a good,
human the
that's a good way
human
of phrasing it.
capacity.
Yeah. It's like on the fringes of things that you know and things that you want to know kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a smart dude. I love his Twitter. His tweets are always spot on. Um, very cool. So I guess obviously it's a little bit different with you with Praxis, being a little bit further in your life with everything. Like, how
Dude,
does that?
last week I plucked a white nose hair.
Oh, geez,
That's
geez.
how you know it's starting. The whole process, man.
I don't think I have gray hair. I sure hope I don't. I'm only
I
21, so
think you're good. You got a little while to go, but it'll come.
I'm sure it will come. I'm sure it will come. But it'll be a good day, obviously. Getting old is a good thing. Sometimes I think that because of the way I was raised, I'm always like trying to get old faster because it's like then I have wisdom. Like then I can be like, look at those young kids. But I think that's obviously a young person's mentality, right?
Yeah, definitely. It'll happen though. You'll get it.
For sure. Um, so what is it like? Like obviously with the whole idea of this apprenticeship thing, like, is that something you're really excited to be able to do? I mean, obviously, if you're in a different situation, are you going to be excited to move somewhere? Are you looking to stay where you are? I mean, what's that
Yeah, I
looking
mean, I'm totally game to move. New. I've moved to like I went to Nebraska, went to Israel, went to New Mexico. Like I went all over the place. I'm not really afraid of just like packing my bags and scooting away. So I'm happy with the idea of like it's only like 6 months too, but
like?
we're gonna be like if I'm gonna go to like some new city, like meet new people, have like a new job and stuff like that, like that sounds pretty exciting you know
Yeah, yeah. I think that for me that was exciting too because like I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, like middle of nowhere. I actually literally didn't live in a town. I lived in the
Oh wow.
woods, and the closest town had about 150 people for a population,
Wait,
which
you
was
live in
about
the woods?
yeah. We grew up in the middle of the woods. Like
Holy shit, dude.
we have a house, and there's woods around us.
Dude, I romanticize that. I always like fantasize about like going to the woods and fucking chopping wood, you know what I mean?
Hey, it's firewood season right now. My parents could use some help. No, it don't worry. It's actually that great. Like I love it there. I just, I think it was important for me to like to move to New York, for example, to get more perspective on the world, right? Because like I think it's ideal to grow up in a situation like that in the middle of nowhere. Like you learn how to provide, and you learn how to do like you learn how to live the way that people lived for a very long time
Yeah,
before
exactly.
urban living became a thing. And then you learn how to live in a city and how to act in a city, because I know too many people who grew up in the same situation as I did, who cannot handle themselves in Chicago or Milwaukee or anything like that. You know, it's like
Thanks,
they just
dude.
cannot do it.
I
Um,
mean, Amazon Prime is a thing.
um, so I mean, like I don't know, it's a nice place, but what was like, oh yeah, part of it was the excitement of getting out of getting out of Dodge. You know, like
Yeah.
I saw Praxis, like I had this really odd mindset about it. I was actually like kind of fantasized about the idea of working in a startup. Like I had never been in a WeWork before I had started Praxis. Like I had
In a
never
what?
seen in a WeWork, like a co-working space or anything like that.
I don't know what that is.
Um, oh, WeWork is you don't know what WeWork is? Like the co-working
Am I
space?
supposed to?
I mean, it's like it just went down. Like this is back in at the end of the last year. WeWork had a complete debacle. It's a big startup thing because SoftBank is funding them, and they had a huge debacle where they were supposed to have an IPO, but they didn't because everybody found out why they didn't was because their books were like their financials were not in
What?
order. Like they were still losing money after 10 years of being a business.
Yikes.
And then what happened was Sung, I forget his last name, from SoftBank dumped like I forget how many more billions of dollars back into them, and they were actually valued at less than what he just put in.
Oh my God.
So they are so like, and this whole coronavirus is probably going to take them out completely because everybody stopped working at their offices. We'll
Dude,
see
this
how
could
it
take
goes.
out a whole lot of people, man. I think we're just getting started.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time for sure. But um, the point is like I had kind of fantasized this idea of working with hip people, all like with this kind of like let's build something. I had no idea what it was going to be like, but part of it was the idea of like I'm going to move somewhere and I'm going to grow up because of it.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely learn a lot, leaving the nest. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Adulting,
would.
they call it.
I, revolting. Yeah, I actually hadn't been living with my parents since I was 17 and a half. But
Wow.
point is like I think that because of that, there's the tendency, like there was at least until I realized how big the world is. There was a tendency to think, oh, I moved out before most of the kids did, so I'm smarter. I understand life. I'm more of an adult. Which in reality, I was still definitely more of an adult than most kids were, but I was
Mm.
still like arrogant about it, right? And now I moved to New York and I was like, oh man, I'm the shit now. And now I even realize how smaller it is because like my boss, he's from Australia and like he's moved all over the place, right? And you just like suddenly realize like moving from, Wisconsin to New York is whatever. But like moving from New York to Singapore to Australia, like the world is so big and it's so easy to just go.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, you
I mean,
probably understand that. I don't.
yeah. I mean, I had to like learn, Hebrew and all that stuff. It's kind of crazy. Uh, there's, but you just kind of dive into things, and it's better not to overthink it. You just go into it. You say like, let's see what happens, and then afterwards, like now I look back at like, a lot of the things that I did, and I'm like, I can't believe I fucking did that, dude. Like a lot of it's pretty crazy. Like how the hell did I get to the position where I'm doing that? You know? So you're probably having those kinds of things too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I think about it a lot because it's like a backwoods country boy, right? Homeschooled, like riding my dirt bike, shooting guns, all the good stuff.
That
Comes
sounds
to New
awesome.
York, and now I'm just like this. I have a really great opportunity, and you're like I have a really great opportunity. Most people do not get the kind of opportunity that I have, and I'm like, how did this happen? I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you fucking earned it, dude. Not luck.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope I didn't just get handed it to me. I hope I keep earning it.
Yeah.
But
Dude, that's one thing. Nobody just hands you anything. Whatever you get, you earn unless you stole it.
uh, and even if you stole it, you still earned it in some way, right? um, I don't know. Like I think that I attribute a lot of it to my mentors, right? I got super lucky, and the first job I ever worked that was like in my adult life, I was the head gardener at the church that I grew up at, right? So I had lined the job up 6 months prior to actually turning 18. I was like, hey, this coming summer, can I do this job? Because my best friend had done it the year before, And I knew it would just be like a base to start from. And it turns out that like I got to know my boss, who was the guy who donated a lot of the money to build the church and everything and to remodel it. And he had built a company from like he started with like 300 bucks and ended up building this company and sold it for a very large sum of money. And so he's like 80 years old now, 82 years old, and he was just like mentoring me and like constantly telling me all this stuff about business. And like then he introduced me to other people, and he like just kept helping me build my confidence without me even asking. Like he just
That's
did all
amazing.
this for me. And and then from there I just like I got the insurance job, I learned how to network, and like I met more mentors, so I got super lucky.
That's amazing. Well, they must have seen something in you, dude. You're obviously a go-getter, starting a podcast, interviewing people. I
I
think you
hope so.
deserve it.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's gonna be exciting. The thing about Praxis, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it yet or not, but to me, the most valuable thing is the community, right? Like
Yeah,
the
definitely.
network. I wouldn't have this job if it wasn't for the network.
Hmm.
Like I just bumped into Quinn Widener, he had done the program like 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I bumped into him on a hangout call. It wasn't even like one of the scheduled calls for Praxis. And he's like, "Hey, do you want a job in New York?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like,
Why
let's
not?
talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's why I kind of like I was reflecting on that. That's why I wanted to restart doing these podcasts again, because like I want to connect with everybody, because like you and everybody that I talk to, they're all going to be like hiring managers at companies. They're going to be starting their own companies. They're going to be out there like changing the world, and we're all connected.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I even just now, Brandy, I don't know how to say her last name, Brandy
I know you're
D.
talking about
Yeah,
Szymanski or whatever.
yeah, that's right. She she had like done like a post on for Spend a Bit. That's like the startup that's doing this search engine to find things that you can buy using Bitcoins.
Okay.
And I talked to like the guy that started it, and so now I'm working on his Android app, programming that for free for now, just like for
Yeah.
fun as a little side project. But I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for Praxis, and it wasn't like something official. It wasn't part of the program. It was just in Slack. Someone posted something.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing that is just like so incredible, and I've always like tried to convince my people my age to network, like who aren't in Praxis. People in Praxis kind of get it already, but people my age, like they just don't understand the idea of networking, because it's like you can literally get so many things just by meeting people and making a good impression.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's like a large part of it is like if people like you, just talking to people, hanging out, doing whatever. Then like something comes up like, hey, like we're doing this thing. Do you wanna join? And they're like, all right. Then boom, you got a connection. It's great.
So this is why introverts never win. Just kidding, guys. Whoever's, I know there's a lot
Oh,
of introverts probably
well, hold
listening.
on a second. Fun fact, though, I am an introvert. Like an introvert is defined as somebody who gets rejuvenated by being alone, and an extrovert is somebody who feels rejuvenated, like gets energy from being with other people. For me, it's taxing to like be around a lot of people for a long period of time, and then once I leave, it's like finally, like I'm alone, kind of thing, and then you can recharge. But I've learned to become more outgoing and like more talkative and more boisterous and all that, and that's an adaptation, and it's an adaptation that's worth doing, yeah, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess I've always struggled with that idea of being an introvert or extrovert, because I feel like I'm very both. And I don't know if it's like maybe I'm an ambivert or whatever they call it.
Oh,
But it's like I love talking to people. Like I love being around people. Like I will be the person who's out there on the dance floor, like
that's
with
a
my
beautiful thing.
sister, throwing her in the air. Like I'm a swing dancer, by the way. And
Wow.
like I will take up the spotlight all day long because I love it, and not because I'm like just selfish about it, just because like I actually
Like
love be having fun, right?
yeah, you thrive on.
Um, but I also like get to points where I'm just like I want everybody to just get the fuck away from me. Like I need to go home. I need to like sit down and like don't talk to me. So I don't know what it is. Like I don't know if there's one way or not. Maybe I get energy from both. I don't know.
Dude, you do a whole bunch of cool shit, man. You're a cool cat. doing
I
something.
like to think so. What are some cool things that you do? I'm sure everybody has them. They just nobody talks about themselves as much as I do.
Um, well, I program. I sometimes I make music. I like philosophy, economics. I don't want to give like a fucking resume, but I lift heavy shit. I broke my deadlift personal record a couple weeks ago. I deadlifted 565 pounds.
Shit.
Pretty happy about that.
Wow. Gee whiz, that is a lot. I lift weights whenever the gyms are open, but not that much. I
Yeah.
actually don't do legs day ever. I hate legs day for some reason. Like I
Uh,
say it's never legs day in my opinion.
squats are the most important thing, dude. When in doubt,
Uh,
do more squats.
man, I say when in doubt, do more bench press.
Dude, that's like the exact opposite. It's like the least transferable workout. I wonder why it's so popular. Probably because like having a big chest looks good or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just a dude's thing. Like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know,
How
I
much you
don't
bench,
know.
dude?
But no, like you mentioned music. What is your music? Can anybody like hear you on SoundCloud? Like, what's that tag? Do you have it?
And that's gonna be really embarrassing because it's not that great. But yeah, it's wow. Jeez, man, even the name is fucking embarrassing. Okay, first of all, I started it when I was like 17.
Hey,
All
bro,
right.
it's totally okay. My
For the
Snapchat is
record.
not the coolest either.
Yeah, so they can find it at like SoundCloud slash damn it, Professor THC.
Professor THC. Hey, that's all right. That's all right. Um, but no, I have a friend of mine actually who's just started to get into SoundCloud. He's going to be supposedly releasing an album in
Nice.
like June or something. It's like I don't remember his tag. Sorry, Jude. But he, like, what I love about it is that my favorite example of it is like 21 Pilots, right? You listen to their first albums and like it's good music, but it's also like you can tell the production quality is very low
For sure.
compared to, what's the most recent one? Trench. It's called Trench, I think,
I don't know.
right? Well, besides their single they released
But
for
you
the
could tell that the
quarantine.
talent was there.
Exactly, right? And it's like I don't want people to be held back by shitty production. I
Yeah.
want them to go because like Ed Sheeran, I watched this documentary on him once, based on his Divide album, right? It was kind of like it's not really a documentary, but it was like kind of a thing where it went through the background and everything. And he said to these high school students, to the high school that he went to, he was telling them, he's like, with any art, it's like a dirty faucet, like it hasn't been run in years. Like you turn it on and it like barely spits water out at the beginning, and then it starts to get constant water with a lot of rust in it, and then before you know it, it's like pure. And
Water.
occasionally there's some spots of rust here and there, but like
I like that analogy.
that always stuck with me. Thank God for Ed Sheeran.
Dude, you're full of good analogies, man.
I just remember people's. I don't come up with them. For sure. So I guess I just kind of want to wrap up here pretty quickly. Is what is I guess what is some advice that you'd offer to people starting Praxis, now, or who are thinking about the program?
Yeah, first of all, loosen the fuck up. Okay, because you go into it and you're trying to be all professional and fucking type in really fancy words and like I'm super smart, you guys. Just be like, just talk like a normal person, write like a normal person. Yeah, one of the biggest like tips for like writing that I got, like the best feedback that I got was from the writing where I was just writing like I talked, and it was also more entertaining to write it. So there's that. So you get to like show off like a little bit of your personality or whatever. Um, but and then there's like the more obvious like um you get out of it whatever you put in. So you know to really think of it like a boot camp. Like you're there for like a short period of time. It's not the rest of your life. It's not even like a full year. It's a quarter of a year. Just bust your ass for that quarter of the year just to fucking see what you can do. You'll probably surprise yourself. So
Yes,
that's
I think that's true. I think it's very true. Um, I think that's good advice. I
yeah.
Is there anything that you want to know from me, that having been through the program? Any questions you have for me or anything like that?
um yeah, so you said that you got your job like you didn't get it through like the normal
Yeah.
process. Praxis way. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, so I had started a job at a marketing firm right at the same time I started Praxis because it was an opportunity that like presented itself out of nowhere through networking. Um, and I was able to do that. I could literally work whatever hours I wanted, right? I could make it my own. So it's flexible with Praxis. So then coming into placement, I had skipped when I did it, we had typically we had 4 months of like modules and then it was 2 months of placement, right? So 1 month of prep and then another month of placement. But they've
Okay.
changed it now to be 3 and 3, like 3 months of boot camp and then 3 months of basically pitches, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I had skipped the project month because I already had a tea business that I had started. I convinced Cameron, I said, hey, I already did this. Like, can I just skip this? Because I was really getting antsy and like I wanted to move forward. There's for some other reasons in my life too. It's just like I want to get the fuck out of Dodge. Like I want to get out of here. So I kind of tried to hesitate or to move that forward quickly.
Yeah.
And then going into placement, like I was really certain I wanted to go to Detroit because I really liked the city and I still think it's an awesome city, by the way, for the
For sure.
record. But it didn't quite work out. They didn't have any, Praxis didn't have any network there. The only network that Praxis had there was some alumni that didn't live there anymore. They had got out of Detroit for their own
Basically,
reasons, obviously. And so I couldn't find a job there. So I ultimately said, the company I was working at was just my boss and one other part-time guy, and then myself, and I had brought in another friend of mine. So it was like 4 people, right? And then we had some contractors. And I was like, if I really put my mind to this for 6 months, like we could probably really build something nice here. So I
Mhm.
was like, why don't I just do this as my as my apprenticeship? And I convinced Cameron on that too. So started my apprenticeship, which was actually just a job, a regular full-time job. In
That's awesome.
officially, I think I started it January 1st or whatever. Um, that's when I started writing my weekly updates. And then it was actually right before that, like at the end of December is when I had ended up having that conversation with Quinn about the job in New York. And it turns out that an opportunity popped up, and I was like, originally we were gonna like talk about starting in the summer or end of April around this time. And then it just happened that that the guy who was gonna hire me said, hey, um, why don't you start? Can you start at March 1st? And I was like, because that was like middle of February. So like I moved really quickly. Technically, I was only in my apprenticeship, which was an actual apprenticeship, for 8 weeks.
Whoa.
So because I started in August and I got my sweatshirt in March. So
Whoa. Hey,
kind of a
go get
record,
it.
right?
I'm proud of you.
So it's an interesting story. I feel so special that I didn't have to like do the whole thing, but at the same time, like probably some people are like, bro, that's not fair.
Oh man, you took the principles that were given to you and you just ran with it. I like it.
Yeah, thanks, man. But very cool, very
Yeah,
cool.
and I didn't forget the advice that you gave me when I first started, when I wrote like an article, my introduction thing, and then like you were like telling me
Oh,
to like break up the paragraphs.
oh, that's right, that's right. Yeah, see, I always
Stuff.
forget because there's so many people. Like, that was you. I remember that though.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I felt like I always feel like a dick when I'm writing that kind of stuff because like I don't
Nah,
want
dude.
people to take it the wrong way, but like I want them to succeed, and it's like those are big paragraphs,
No, that was a thing that really like made a difference in my writing. I'm like, oh, thank God he told me that because I did it like with every other thing that I did, and it looks way better. And I
Yeah,
told other people to do it, so I passed it, paid it forward.
pay it forward, brother. Yeah, I always tell that to everybody who like writes emails. It's like I've gotten emails from people who are like running their own small businesses, and I like their products. So I'm going to keep doing it. But I'm like, hey, by the way, not to be a dick, but you should really cut up those paragraphs.
Nobody wants to read like a big old block of text. Make it digestible.
Yeah,
Little,
it feels tough, one sentence.
right.
So, all right, very cool, man. Well, this is great. We'll stay in touch, obviously, and I'm excited to see how your placement goes. You're getting into that, obviously, next month. You'll start your placement process, so it'll be exciting, man. Where can people follow your writing? Aaron, you there? We lost him. So sorry about that. Actually, his power just went out. Aaron's power just went out. But I'm gonna put his links in the description, so you can give him a follow on Twitter and Medium. I think he writes on Medium. I'll have to double check with that. But thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a good.